Binio is a magician, considered the strongest in the family. Presently, she heard about a person with even higher abilities than her, so she decided to set out to find that person. And this is Kuro. He bravely confessed his love to the classmate he liked, but she flatly refused. He ran away and bumped into his friend Maru. She saw that he never learned any lesson. Maru advises him not to try to confess his love to every girl he meets, but he believes that when there is love, life will change. The two saw a kid being bullied, so Kuro rushed to save him but fell. The bullies saw Kuro, so they returned his school bag and left. Seeing Kuro like to help people, she felt quite happy but also a bit sad because he never paid attention to her. Meanwhile, Binio had just boarded the train when suddenly the train lost power. Evil spirits suddenly appeared to attack the ship. Binio was forced to take action and would not let any civilians get hurt. She then began using exorcisms on herself and transformed the surrounding area. At the house of Kuro, his brother Ryo and his grandfather. The two discovered that there was an evil spirit attacking, so they called Ryo to go deal with it. Just as he called someone to prepare the car, he saw Kuro had just returned, so he pulled him along, but he didn't like these exorcisms at all, so he got angry and left. The reason Kuro hates exorcisms is because 2 years ago he was an amazing magician with supernatural abilities. But after a major incident, he was the only one left alive, so he hated this. Binio now encountered an evil spirit. It ate the others and became huge, forcing her to use all her strength to deal with it. Binio was taken away by the evil spirit. She had to use fire magic on the sword and rushed to finish it off. After finishing work, she was exhausted and fell down. She fell straight into Kuro's position, forcing him to jump off the bridge to save her and bring her to shore. When he got ashore, seeing Binio standing there drying his clothes made Kuro's heart flutter a bit. He then tried to greet her, but she didn't say anything but gave him a map and asked for directions. He didn't know why she didn't say anything. She said communication was very annoying. He saw Binio keep looking at the cake shop and knew she was hungry but didn't have money, so he gave her money to buy one. But she bought all his pocket money and kept the cake so he wouldn't touch it, so he just wanted to go home. In the middle of the road, the two met two kids riding bicycles and suddenly felt uneasy. As soon as I turned around, the two kids had disappeared. Binio opened the barrier to the spiritual world and encountered evil spirits attacking the two children. She rushed to tackle it. Kuro realized she was an exorcist, and she seemed very strong. A flock of evil spirits then emerged, forcing Binio to use spells to strengthen himself. She carried 2 swords and rushed at an amazing speed and killed all the evil spirits. She also healed the boy and met Kuro again. Seeing that he also knew what this space was, she realized that Kuro was also a colleague. Suddenly the evil spirit lord appeared. Binio wanted Kuro to protect the 2 children, and she would fight, but the more he fought, the more he knew her chances of winning were almost zero. She had to give Kuro a talisman so he could lead the 2 children to escape. She continues to fight to achieve her dream of eliminating all evil spirits from the world. She then continued to fight and was beaten by the evil spirit. The enhanced armor was gone and Binio was exhausted, so she knew she couldn't fight anymore. Kuro had to stand up to fight. He pulled out a black talisman and remembered his power. The power he once threw away, but thanks to Binio, he found his old self again. He opened the seal and reused the arm he used to fight. With just one punch, he successfully destroyed the high-level evil spirit. Binio saw such a powerful ability for the first time, but he saw this as just a curse. Kuro then wants Binio to keep the secret for her because he no longer wants to be a shaman. But she kept stepping on his feet because she didn't need his help. Binio then returns them both to the world and thinks he can fight on his own without his help. She said her name and then left first. She felt that she extremely disliked Kuro. As for Kuro, he felt very unlucky today when he suddenly got involved with an unpleasant person. Furthermore, he is also an exorcist. He then remembered that his school bag was still in the river. I was about to buy a drink when I remembered I was out of money. He would never want to see Binio again. When he arrived home, he saw his grandfather and the brothers welcoming Binio again. Everyone wanted him and Binio to get along, but he didn't want anything to do with her anymore. Suddenly a spirit beast rushed out to attack Koro. It calls itself Kanako and claims to be Binio's most loyal follower. He didn't want to have anything to do with her anymore and no one wanted to listen to him, so he decided to leave and go back to his room. The next day, Binio ran to Koro's room and woke him up. She wanted him to go with her to that space to determine the winner because she wanted to see who was stronger. Koro didn't like it and kicked her out. He said that what he fought yesterday was due to an emergency situation, but he hated being an exorcist the most. Ryo heard that he fought yesterday but didn't tell the others. Binio then went with Ryo's group to the scene to exorcise the demon. Binio went into battle herself and she realized that this one was not as strong as the last one and she would strive to become the strongest. After finishing the exorcism and returning, she was informed by Ryo. Kuro's story moved here 2 years ago, after some traumatic event, and since then he has given up on becoming an exorcist. He believes Binio is the one who can change Kuro back to how he was. Kuro felt that ever since he met Binio, he was constantly being pulled back by old memories. As soon as he entered the bathroom, he met Binio in there. Right after that, he was chased from the house to the yard by Binio carrying his sword. As soon as he came out here, he accidentally bumped into a young man wearing only pants. This is the leader of the Mages Association named Arima. He received a prophecy, so he came here. But when he came here, he met a cute girl, but she already had a boyfriend. He came here to announce something, so he asked someone to summon all the captains of the magician teams because he had a pleasant surprise for them. He then led the people to the temple and showed them for the first time the secret path leading down. Here, all the captains have arrived. When everyone was present, Arima appeared and informed them that the prophecy was about to come true. The long war between magicians and evil spirits has gradually come to an end because the child of God has appeared, who will completely purify the world and bring peace to the world. But who could that person be? Arima called Binio up, causing everyone to recognize that she really had talent, but as soon as she stepped up, Arima called Kuro up together. Not many people know about Kuro in terms of his strength. To them, Kuro is just an anonymous person. He also didn't want Arima to talk about him, but he didn't lie. Because the God's child is only one, the two must fight each other to see who is stronger. Because it affects the survival of humanity, it doesn't matter if you want it or not. But Binio was very eager to fight. She pulled out her weapon to attack and Kuro could only dodge. He was pushed back and the others found Binio to be overwhelming, so Kuro must have been chosen wrongly. Arima deliberately provoked him and said that an exorcist who doesn't fight has no value, and if he doesn't have value, he will only die like his friend. He constantly defamed Kuro's friends, making him angry and forced to use force. Binio also activated his armor and rushed to fight. He threw a punch and pushed her away. He forced her into a defensive position and was about to rush in to finish, but Binio also activated his true power and moved at a speed invisible to the naked eye. Kuro punched the ground to lure Binio into attacking, and just as the two were about to touch each other, Arima dispelled the exorcism equipment and stopped the fight. He apologized for insulting Kuro, but this was the only way to force him to use his power and show him off in front of everyone, because from now on he and Binio were arranged to marry and give birth to the God's child. Because both can be considered the strongest magicians currently. Obviously Kuro couldn't accept this. He later discovers Binio in the dining room and she won't accept him either. Others used the fact that the two would later become husband and wife as a tease. But she views marrying someone like Kuro who has no aspirations to be a magician as humiliating. She will soon be enrolling in the same school as Kuro, and Ryo wants Kuro to speak up if he has any difficulties in class. Kuro is surprised to see that Binio will be in the same class as him. Meanwhile, Ryo and two of his team were sent to deal with the evil spirit. There were quite a few evil spirits here and they thought they should call for backup, but Ryo wanted to handle it himself. During gym class, while Kuro was playing soccer with his classmates, he noticed Binio on the other side is performing excellently. As for your friend Maru, she's not that great. But the boys wondered why Kuro didn't choose Maru, and he said that Maru had a complicated relationship with him. At lunchtime, Kuro couldn't see Binio and was told by Maru that she was on the rooftop. She was eating alone when suddenly Kanako discovered that there was an evil spirit nearby. The other Rio was starting to lose strength and a powerful evil spirit also appeared, but he still didn't want to involve Koro in this matter. Binio had now packed his things to leave and asked Maru to tell the teacher for her. As for the reason she left early, Maru kept making up some problem. Koro ran after her and heard that Rio might be in trouble, so she went first. Rio was now starting to get tired when Binio came to help. And Maru saw Koro sighing all the time. So she decided to take him somewhere to have fun. She took Koro to the amusement park and remembered the time when he was scared by the thrills and rides. He boldly declared that he was not afraid anymore, but when he went to play, he felt afraid. Binio on this side rushed into battle. Rio had seen her strength before, but now seeing it in real combat, he was even more overwhelmed. Meanwhile, Koro invited Maru a drink and saw that the group of kids in front were quite similar to him and his previous friends, so he wanted to go home with Maru. Suddenly, the evil spirit over there attacked the barrier, causing problems on the train track. The children sitting up there are in danger. Binio on the other side soon had to deal with the evil spirit with a single move. And Koro went to save the children. He climbed up and caught one, but the other was still stuck on the train. Koro reached out to grab them and successfully saved both of them. At night, he met Binio again. Everyone praises Binio's abilities. Meanwhile, Arima meets again with a team of magicians. Some people feel bad because they don't know anything about Koro's background, but Arima still believes in Koro's destiny and abilities. That night, Rio saw that Binio was still not sleeping, so he sat down to talk to her. He sees Koro as a younger brother and really wants him to continue on the path of a magician. Of course, he didn't want him to get hurt again, but wanted him to be able to accept the past and move on. Koro heard it and couldn't believe that Rio said those embarrassing words to Binio. The next morning, Rio announced that his grandfather had gone out on business, so today his group would go and submit a report. Rio's group went to another branch to submit a report, and this brother was jealous because Rio's group had two talented people. But Rio assumed that both of the talented characters he mentioned were studying, and Rio didn't want to drag them both into exorcism too much. Meanwhile, Koro was lying near the riverbank and knew what Rio was saying was right. You can't run away forever. Rio and his team now arrived at a house where 11 people were rumored to be missing, and Koro met the old woman he often came to buy when he was a child. She still misses him and Rio, and also misses him and Maru. Meanwhile, Rio and his group searched the house, but it didn't seem like there was an evil spirit residing there. But there's still one room they haven't checked yet. Once inside, the group immediately felt the heavy pressure this place radiated. Rio opened the door to that spiritual space when they encountered an extremely powerful evil spirit. It pushed the other two people out of that space and left Rio alone inside. Koro returned home and met two friends. They were ambushed by evil spirits and Rio was still fighting alone. Koro had to throw away his ego to ask Binio for help. He was afraid of fighting, but his fear of losing loved ones was even greater. Meanwhile, Rio was chased by an evil spirit. He hid in an alley and hoped it wouldn't find him. The talisman is also gone, so I can't open the gate to return. Suddenly the evil spirit discovered him and threw him into a nearby house. Rio still tried to fight back and then realized he was surrounded and his weapons were no longer effective. He decided not to let himself die in vain, so he tried to take out one of the evil spirit's eyes. When he was about to be eaten, Koro came to his rescue. He didn't know why Rio was so reckless. He wanted to become stronger so he could be his retainer. In the past, Koro dreamed of becoming the strongest magician and then would let Rio be his retainer. Rio still holds that desire and looks forward to when it happens. Koro returned to fight and the small evil spirits were quickly dealt with by Binio. He rushed into the evil spirits and was attacked by them, forcing Binio to help. He rushed up to deal with the big evil spirit himself and left these kids for Binio to clean up. When he returned, Rio was taken to the hospital and Binio finished cleaning the house. Koro was thankful that Binio agreed to help him. She thinks he's basically useless, but he's great because he still has trauma and is still willing to use it to fight.